Hello again everyone, thanks for joining. Today we've got this Class 25 from Hornby to have a look at. This is another model which I bought at Model Rail Scotland from Ellis Clark Trains. It's only cost me £15, which I thought was quite a good bargain. I already have a Class 25 and this is my one which I've had for a very long time. I've done a video about it already and this has had some modifications to the front here which I did myself, but it is on an old made in Great Britain chassis, but it has had a 5-pole motor upgrade, but it is a Hornby motor inside here. This one is made in China, but it looks for all intents and purposes exactly the same. It's the same chassis. The buffers have changed a little bit and there's some different decoration on the front from the factory than this one had, but obviously I've changed this one since then. Now, spoiler alert, I've already had a little bit of a run of this locomotive and it runs really badly. So in this video we're going to open it up, check out what's wrong and hopefully get it running really good at the end of this video. So of course it's the old Ringfield motor here. This actually looks a very clean model and I'm not sure why it's running so badly. The wheels look not too bad, there's not a lot of dirt on it, but it has been used. You can see here it is saying made in China on the bottom of it here. It does look maybe that this has been a bit gunked up with some grease in the past. It does revolve quite freely, so I'm not really quite sure what's going on here. Let's get this motor out of the chassis and we'll give it a clean up and we'll see if that makes any difference. So one of the problems I'm seeing here on the pickup bogie is that the back two pickups aren't actually on the back of the wheels like they should be on the front. Not sure how that's managed to happen, but it should be an easy fix just to get those back in. So one of the really annoying things about this model is that these cables are just soldered in and they're soldered in here, so we can't actually get this apart. I think on my older one they had actually slide in little push fit connectors there, so it was quite easy to get this off. In fact, I think it went on the side here, you can still see the little tabs there. Anyway, so we need to be careful with this one that we don't actually break these cables as we give this model a bit of a service. So I've just taken off the bogie surround so that we can get to the motor a bit easier. And one of the things I'm noticing, it is quite greasy, this one. It's very sticky as well. So I think it just needs a real good clean up on all these gear wheels and hopefully that should be enough. Now that I've taken off those gear wheels, I can actually revolve the motor freely here. But I can see that it also looks really quite dirty as well. So I think this motor needs stripped down and completely cleaned out. So on this motor you can see it is only a 3-pole motor and it also doesn't have a copper contact here either. My other 25 has a 5-pole motor which is all copper. I think that's maybe been made in the UK just before manufacturing went out to China, and this one has, I think, maybe been made a little bit cheaper than the UK ones. It also is a clip fit together. The other one that I've got in the other 25 actually screws together. Aside from that, it's essentially the same motor. I think this clean up job here is enough. I haven't done it super clean, but I think it should be good enough. So now I'm going to put it back together and clean out the gears and put a little bit of oil in it and see if it will run. Very strange on this model, it's actually got pickups here on these driven wheels where the gears are, but these wheels have got traction tyres on them, so that's a bit strange. Anyway, we're all back together now and I think it's going to be working okay. So I need to put the bogie part back onto this chassis and then put it back together and we'll give it a little test. Before that, you'll notice that this coupling is actually missing the little hook there. I'm just going to have a check whether I've got one in my spares box and I'll add it on there while this is off and it's easy to get to. Great, I did have one. Right, let's get this back together. So I put this back together and gave it a test, but it didn't actually work. So I cut that out of the video and I've opened it up again and had a look, and it looks as though one of these little springs here has had a bit of a problem in the past and it actually got stuck and I think it lost contact. I put some power on here and it didn't make the motor run, but that's quite surprising. I've never seen that happening on a Ringfield motor before where the spring gets stuck and loses contact. So it's a bit strange on this one. So I've taken the motor apart again And I've actually found that there is a bit of a manufacturing fault on this side of the motor. On this one here, there was a bit of flashing on it, and that was scoring against the motor face. And also this is the side that the spring was knackered on. So I've just taken off that little burr and opened these up a little bit. So I think what was happening was that these little parts here were not actually moving up and down like they should, and the spring wasn't giving them any tension at all, especially on one side. So I think this has been an issue with this model from the factory, or else it's just got worse over time with this little bit of plastic here rubbing against the inside of the motor, and then over time it's just worn away and caused a problem. So I'm going to have to get a new spring for this side, and I'll have to come back and fix this another day. So as well as the problems on the inside of the base plate here, I also noticed that these little holes actually were too small as well, and the spring was getting stuck and it was jamming the motor. So I've had to drill out these holes a little bit, and now it works fine. I've got one side in with the spring. This side I need to get another spring. That's still on order, so hopefully it'll come soon and then we can get this back together. I need to solder in the resistor back onto it as well. Okay, I've got a new spring, so let's get this back together. Well, success at last. I can't believe it's taken so long to get this model working. And that motor was an absolute disaster. I don't know what's gone wrong in the manufacturing processes, but the quality control on that motor was absolutely rubbish. The faceplate has got some serious problems on it, and it's caused this model to prematurely fail. So what do we think of this Class 25? I have to compare it to my old one, which, if you remember, is from the 1970s, I think, but it does have the upgraded 5-pole motor inside it. It was made in the UK, whereas the one in the foreground was made in China. There's no differences whatsoever in the chassis or the body, although I would say that the body colour is much better on the newer version, but that could just be because my one's been around for a long time and it's become discoloured. The transfers on the newer one are quite good as well, and they have more transfers on it than the older one, but what is really letting it down is that Ringfield motor. Obviously cut corners here by making it a bit cheaper, taking out the copper on the faceplate, and there seems to be a lack of quality control on the plastic moulding. I've never seen it happen before, so it might just be a one-off, but nevertheless it's made this locomotive end its life early and have to have a major rebuild. If you've had similar problems on your Ringfield powered locomotives that have been made in China, let me know in the comments below. I'd be interested to hear if it's a common thing or if it was just unlucky with this particular locomotive. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel grow, and I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around. On screen in a moment will be a link to another video. If you click that, I'll see you over there. But that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. See ya.